Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Healing Me First podcast. I'm your host, Chef Beee, and today we have the amazing, wonderful Dr. Pier Junor Clarke. And our conversation today is going to be around awareness and consciousness into wellness. So what I want us to do is I want you, Dr. Junor Clarke, to give us just a little background about yourself, like who you are and what you do.
Okay. All right. Well, you introduced me already. My name is Pier Junor Clarke, and I'm a mathematics education professor at Georgia State University. I'm originally from Georgetown, Guyana, South America, and I came here via Canada to work, and that's where I am now at Georgia State University. Well, as I start a new job, everything going well, everything going okay. But and life is going, right?
Yeah.
Age going, creeping up on you.
Yep.
And then one day it came to my nut. I just started reflecting now because I'm aging now. So my 50th birthday passed. And then at the time I was about 59, I decided, let me take a look at the family history
Yeah.
in terms of health. And so I realized my grandfather died at 62. My grandmother lived longer. She died at around 84, 86. But he died at 62. And then my mom came and she died at 62. My dad came and died at 62. So I started to say, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah.
There in this 62, what's that? So then I realized, I said, okay, let me start checking up on my vitals. When I go to the doctor, checking on that. They always say, oh, everything is okay and all that. But let me start looking deeper into these things, because sometimes the doctors, they tell you everything is okay. And if there's a range, they got you, you're the lower end or the upper end. But once you're inside the range, they say you're okay.
That's
so that's
right.
not enough for me, as I deal with numbers and things like that.
Yeah.
So those numbers, if it's at the extremes, it's not good. They got to be in the middle.
That's true.
And then you kind of, comfortable. So I decided to look into those things. And as I keep going to my doctor, the age is the time you've got to keep going regularly. So I keep going to the doctor and so on. My pressure was a little elevated, but, kind of controlling that. And then they start giving me a medication for it. And I get one medication for pressure, one for cholesterol. I said, oh. And of course, I use my little vitamins and so on. So it start mounting up. I say, this is not a good sign.
Yeah.
And so I keep going. I'm not missing any appointments now with the doctor. I keep going to that and so on. And then at one point, the doctor told me, he said, if your blood sugar keeps going like this, we're going to have to put you on medication. I said, I don't think so.
So let's pause right there. So, I really wanted to thank you so much for sharing that intro. One of the things that I really wanted you all to hear, those of you out there who are listening, is that when we're thinking about wellness, all of us at this time, with all this going on in the world, there's this new sort of awareness that we all need to be mindful about our wellness. And I often think that, when folks get a little bit older, some people believe that it's too late for them to shift and to have a turnaround. They believe, man, I'm old, I'm set in my ways. There's really not a whole lot of time left for me to do something different. And I wanted you guys to listen to Pierre's story, because Pierre had this awareness, right? This awareness that we're talking about, that after reflecting that her parents and her grandparents, they were actually dying early. They were dying in their early 60s. And she wasn't far away from there. And she was like, wait a minute, there's something that I need to be mindful of here. And is
Yes.
there some kind of shift that I can make in my life, so that those outcomes that my family might have had, I'm shifting and changing those things for myself. So that's the awareness part. And then the consciousness is her being conscious enough in what her lifestyle was like, and her knowing that in order for her to change her outcome, she had to really have a consciousness about what her lifestyle was. And so I really want you to talk a little bit about, a little bit more about, well, what were some of the things that you really realized that you had to adjust? So you realize, okay, there's this family history happening. And then you're going to the doctor, they're trying to manage these different things that's happening in your life. So then what? Like, what kinds of things started to shift for you? And what did you have to adjust in the process?
Okay, I'll get to that. But before we continue on that, as we talking about the awareness at the age with my parents, what was striking about that, my grandfather, his father and mother died at pretty old age. My grandmother, which was his mother, died at 92 when I got married. I mean, she was there, you know me.
Yeah.
And so my grandmother, also coming from long living family, she got the family now living until 93, 95, and then when I look back and see that they were going this young, I said, why, what's going on? But then I know some of the conditions my grandfather had. And then my grandmother, well, I guess she was just probably old age and, probably not getting enough of what she needs in her body, with old age, you got to be. So at every age, I think we have to be mindful of things, because even some of our older parents that they're there, we can't just assume, okay, they got enough in the body. No, they still
Yeah.
need stuff. And if they don't get enough and, it's sufficient and efficient ones, and they could, just leave us. So anyway, so that was that. But then after I came to this, to knowing all these different things happening, because of course I'm in academia now, where a lot of pressures on,
Yeah.
stress and all kinds of things. I went through all of that, and you know, going through all of those things. Every time I go to the doctor, there's something, all these different things, and I'm trying to monitor those things. Um, One of the things that I came about is when I met you, Dr. Bruley. I met her years ago, even before I started this journey of looking at my health and all that. And I probably didn't even tell you anything about it, Those
No,
are
you
personal things,
didn't. You didn't tell me
share
anything
too
about
many of
that.
those things with people like that.
Yeah.
Try to see what you can do to either minimize or something. And so, but talking with her, I heard she talking about this food service that she's having and so on. And we were talking on basic stuff like, people don't have time to prepare meals and things like that. So, but after going to the doctor and hearing of these different things happening to me, my blood pressure was a bit high, elevated. Cholesterol was an issue. It wasn't the highest issue. It was because I monitored that after knowing about it. And then the blood sugar count, that was the main thing. That was one of the things, that and the blood pressure. They two work together, kind of.
Yeah.
So once one is there, they go back and forth. So they keep creeping, as the time goes by. So those were my concerns. So after she talking about this, business was one thing for me. I said, well, my husband cooks for me, but of course he cooks food. He doesn't have any condition. He's very healthy and everything. So what works in working for me?
Yeah.
So I had to decide, okay, I got to do something. She was doing this meal. I said, let me try this meal prep. And it was the meal, buying some meals from her to help me with my busyness. I noticed some changes as because I usually check my blood sugar at home. So I noticed some changes with that. I said, okay, so the type of food and how this food is prepared probably is making a difference.
Yeah.
I'm being very analytical. I'm a researcher as well, so I'm being very analytical with everything now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these little things, So let me look at this, what's going on here. And I saw that. So I said, okay. So I was telling her, I said, well, I like the meals and so on, they're nice and so on, but it seemed as though to help me better, I have to make a lifestyle change. That is, I have to change the way I eat. Changing the way I eat. Right now, I don't cook. My husband cooks all the food. So I said, changing my lifestyle, that would mean I have to do the cooking for myself at least. You know, he wouldn't want to eat the way I eat anyways, but I'll have to cook for myself because he's not here. You know, but he cook in his convenience. So I said,
Right.
okay. So then I talked to her and she said, well, okay, she had this other program now going on. It's just convenient for me. So she had this other program. I said, okay, well, that's going to help me. I know to prepare some foods. I'm not the kind of anything, but I need to be more proficient, especially with the timing. I'm not a person too much in the kitchen, so it takes me a lot of time to get things done. So I had to learn those little things, and you could cut little corners around with your time. And so I needed to know that. And so she invited me to the meal prepping and coaching. And so I went to that. And
I think that was what you're referring to is the culinary program.
yes.
So the Transform and Thrive culinary program.
Yes.
Yeah. And, just to kind of add to what Pierre is saying, it's like, I realize that, it's this whole idea that one person's food is the other person's poison. I'll tell anyone that every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And she's right. Her husband is he's young and spritey. You would never believe that he's the age he is. He is just absolutely young at heart. He can eat what he wants to eat. And a lot of times I find that when people are not dealing with a health challenge, they kind of don't get it, like they just like, what's the problem? And so he's making this great food. He's like, I mean, it's healthy.
He said, taste this. Taste one time, right? Do anything. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, he's like, what's the problem? But he doesn't realize that it's impacting her body in a whole other way than it's impacting her body. And so I remember I said to you, I was like, you got to learn how to cook this food for yourself, because he's not understanding the nuance of what you need. You understand the nuance of what you need. And so with that, we had her come and join the Transform and Thrive culinary program. Yeah. So talk a little bit about your experience in that and like what came about it for you after going through that program.
Okay, going through the program, one, it was something to go to, and because I'm mostly in academia, all this work. So it was a good thing for me every Sunday, looking forward to that. It was exciting. You meet with other people, of course, and they'll be sharing as we learn to cook. We're cooking along with Chef Beee, and so when we finish cooking, then we'll taste and share what our food look like and everything like that. We're very artistic with some of the decorations and so on, but it was nice. But in the process, learning how to prepare these meals, the portions, and I know to cook, I know all the ingredients, but there's an art in cooking, and we always have to think about that art to get that particular taste. You can put all the ingredients together. If you don't understand the portions and all that stuff, we all can cook the same thing and everybody tastes different. So I learned to do that and then look forward to the kind of community that we built. Because until now, I still ask for some of those people, I ask her, what about so-and-so person? Because, they had an impact on my, I don't know, just collaborating with them, talking with them,
It's nice.
They're in my memory all the time. So I think about them sometimes. Yeah. And so, but anyways, out of that, eating that way, and I started with the meal prep now. Now I understood how I could prep my meals for like 2 or 3 days, and then, giving me time to continue my academic work. And then I'll choose a day now when I would go and do the next prep later in the week. Yeah. So I started doing that and following through. I then further went, I was introduced to another doctor who would have been more careful in looking at these things for me, looking at my vitals. And she followed up with that. So I told her what I was doing in terms of the eating and so on, and said that I was good. And, I continue with that. But then after that session with the culinary thing, I kind of ease off because, I started doing my own little meal prepping. And I would share with her, look what I'm doing. I shared all with my children. And so my daughter in Arizona, she follows through with my meal. She say, "Mommy, what's in that?" And I have to tell her what's there, and she's going to make it herself. So
Yeah.
everybody trying to do things to improve their health. And so one of the things now, after doing that for a little while, I went to the doctor. No, Dr. K told me to pull my vitals and to pull my vitals to see how things are going in my body. With the things I'm doing, the way I'm eating, I changed that, and doing exercises in between. And then also my water intake was another thing. So I was more proactive with that. And so we decided to do the blood work. And then when she did the blood work, oh my gosh, that was eye-opening when I saw that.
What happened?
Like, man, my A1C went down, plummet down. I know when I saw it first, I had to say, I say into my mind, I said, is this a trick or a game? This thing is playing on me. I was very curious. I'm telling you, I was very, very curious. 5.9, I mean, from a 6.5 coming down to 5.9.
And for those of you who are listening, your
Oh my
A1C
gosh.
is a measurement, it's a metric that measures your blood sugar levels.
Mhm.
And the range that Pierre's was in was like she's pre-diabetic, right?
Yes, yes.
And so once that range is too high, they're sort of prepping you like, hey, if you don't shift this, you might need insulin. But it's absolutely reversible because, for those of you who don't realize, diabetes is very much a lifestyle disease. It's the timing of maybe when you're bringing foods into your diet or you're eating, your sugar levels are like skyrocketing. And you're not giving your body enough time for those sugar levels to balance out. So her A1Cs were up and then now they're down. What else was happening?
So after that went down like that, now I get very curious. I said, well, what's going on here now? I'm in my mind, I said, I hope this is just not a one-shot thing, a one time, then it would gone back again, So I was so I couldn't wait for the next couple of months. That's like every 3 months or so, 3 to 6 months, I do the check. And so when I check again, I was pleasantly surprised. It's still the same. And that A1C measure, it when you take it, it tests back from 3 months ago.
Yeah.
It takes reading from 3 months ago. And so my doctor, no, my primary doctor, I shared that with him, and when he saw it, he said, Pierre, what's going on? And I tell him what I was doing. He said, okay. He said, okay, be careful. Of course, there's they're into the regular medical thing, so they don't see too much. But I told him, I'm seeing a naturopathic doctor now, and I changed my lifestyle, eating and things like that.
Yeah.
He said, okay, just be careful. He said, they got all kinds of people out there, but if you know and trust the people, it's okay.
Yeah.
So that was it. And so I continue with that, and it's still 5.9. It's not shifting yet. So I'm gonna see the next time I go back what's gonna happen. But it's over a year now and it's still there.
And that's actually a really good number.
Yeah,
and I know that you've done some other programs with me, like you've done a lot of different things with me.
The palate reset, which was good.
Oh, palate reset, yes.
That was helpful in terms of the type of things that I really have a taste for. Now, I mean, yesterday my husband brought something, he always bring these things. I say, but as soon as I taste it, I said, Morris, too much, this thing, it masked with a lot of sugar and salt. Both are in this thing. You could taste it. I said, that thing is not. I said, be careful. You don't think you have anything and all this thing going for you. But as we age, you've got to watch that intake of sugar. That thing, it masked. And you remember in Guyana, I remember when people were cooking, and if you overcook with salt, they used to take some sugar and just mask that thing. So you won't taste, the food won't taste salt, but salt is in there already. But then they would mask it with sugar. And so sometimes for flavor in foods, people put heavy salt and heavy sugar, but they balance out each other. To balance it. Good. Yeah. But it's damaging to your body when it's like that. It's like saline and you put, ice over it. So, that's the type of thing. So my taste for some things changed, and you know. Now I could drink my tea and things without sugar. It's not a problem. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense to me. Before you had to taste that sugar. If you're not tasting it, it's and I
Yeah.
was a heavy salt user when I was much younger. So it's but they I actually said when sometimes we see these vitals for these things that existed a long time ago. Now when I'm looking back, I said maybe we had these things a long time ago.
Yeah, you just didn't think
Yeah, I
about
was
it.
every salt. When I cook food, it had to that I have to taste the salt. If not,
Yeah, it's brackish or it's too
yes,
bland or whatever.
right, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's interesting because you just made a comment and I'm still thinking about it. Yeah, like every phase of your life, there are different things that you need. And I
Mm-hmm,
was just having lunch with a friend, and she's older than I am. She's maybe about 10 years older than I am, almost 10 years. And she was telling me how her memory was changing.
mm-hmm,
And she was like, make sure you get your B12. You know, and again, these are things that we might just sort of overlook or overshadow.
mm-hmm,
But when she had gone to the doctor, she'd realized that her B12s were so low that they were actually impacting her memory.
mm-hmm,
Little things, like she could not recall little things. And once she started bringing more B12 into her diet, like actual, not it in the food, but actual supplements of B12, it really helped her memory. And so I think you're right. I think as you age, you definitely need different things.
mm-hmm.
And it's like you have to be very intentional about getting those
Yeah,
particular things
that's the key word,
into your
intentional.
diet. You know, that consciousness that we're talking about
Mm-hmm,
today needs
mm-hmm,
to be there.
mm-hmm.
And so I love that you had a mindfulness about just sort of, you know, it's like we're academics, right? So you guys know who are listening, my background is academia as well. We're both mathematics educators. And so there's this sort of research thought process that we all go through where we start looking around us and seeing if we can solve problems. And so it's a wonderful way for you to figure out how to solve a problem when you see the problem in yourself. You become your own experiment. And that's exciting. To me, that's exciting. You know,
Yes, it
it's
is.
not meant for us to be afraid, or it's not meant for fear to be created, but it's an opportunity for you to really do some research and collect data and really try to shift the outcomes with yourself first. That's
Yes.
why I love this whole idea of healing me first. And she's doing it. She is
Mm.
absolutely doing it. So share with the listeners some other things that you've really brought into your lifestyle through shift. So tell her, I would love to hear this. What are some things that you used to do that you no longer do because you know that it no longer serves you now that you're getting older? What would you say are some things like that?
Um, one of the things that is bothering me right now, my sleep pattern. My sleep pattern is something that is bothering me. And so while I trying to fix some things on one side, there's something else occurring because
Yeah.
with my blood sugar, everything calmed down and you feel a lot of energy in the body, I'm more energetic to work. Now, I'm academia, doing research, grading papers, teaching and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a lot energetic in that area. And then what happens now? What do you think happening now?
You gonna want to wake, you want to stay up, you want to
I
grade
stay up,
papers.
I don't feel sleepy, I'm not I'm not feeling sleepy, and I keep working, working, working without stopping. I look at the time. I have my clock set for 10 o'clock that I must cut off, and I would listen to that thing, turn it off, and continue. And so while I do that, and I realize I say, no, this is not doing well. And in academia now, we have a lot of pressure on, and it's a lot of work. They don't understand, even though we had a responsibility list, what we're responsible for, it keeps adding and adding, or even if it doesn't add, they come and ask you, and then it's in a way, what are you gonna do? Tell them no, and then becomes it's a bad relationship at work, and there's a whole lot of things. So for many reasons, we keep adding things to our plate, and it's overbearing. Stress starts stepping in.
Yeah.
Stress, because I don't feel sleepy, but then I'm not getting enough sleep. And so it started taking a toll on other things. And one of the things, as I was learning about recently, they say you have to be very careful because those things, it will hit back on the blood sugar.
Yeah.
Because what happens now, when you're up late, then you don't know what may happen. Anyway, the one lucky thing that is helping me as well is because I do intermittent fasting. So even though I'm up late at those hours, that's my fasting time. So I'm not going to eat, only drink water.
Yeah. A lot of times people would eat, right, Pierre? They'll actually get up and in the middle of the night, they'll snack.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So like that. So that's what's helping. But I think it's a time that I need to make a shift because I need the sleep. I need to make sure that I get sleep for a long life, you know.
Yeah.
And the point is not just long life, but feeling healthy with it.
Feeling good. Yeah.
Many of us might live very long, but we're gonna ail until the last bit of substance finish from our body. That's when you're gonna close your eyes. People can die very healthy. And, you know, if that's the time for you to transition, you transition, but healthy, not with all these pains and all these things.
Yeah.
You know, everybody trying to do that. You want to live, you know, not feeling all this pain. When your time come to go, your time to come to go. That's nobody can stop that. But you know, keep yourself as healthy as you can. So that's the goal. And so I am working towards that. So every little thing I look at and I kind of try to analyze it. Even with myself, I get the doctors, I get them involved to know what's happening and talking to them about it.
Yeah. No, that's
But
good.
the consciousness is very important because it's the consciousness, as we were talking here, something come to my mind. What helps you to sustain any particular lifestyle that you take is the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part you got to get the shift there.
The mindset.
The mindset. If that don't shift, you'll just do it for a time. You go back. You keep doing that all the time. One day I was sitting at thinking, and as we talking here, it comes to my mind again. Is that consciousness? And that consciousness say, well, I know about that. You know, no, not just that. It's a deeper thing than that. Just know it.
Yeah, I like the deeper. I think you know what I think it is for me, and you can tell me what it is for you. So for those of you who are there listening, I just finished up a fast, right? And the fast was for 7 days. It was a water fast, and we were allowed one juice. So I did the water fast for 3 days. Again, one juice allowed in the evening, no extra sugar, anything. And then the other 4 days, I did like a smoothie with water and the juice. So no food. And I kid you not, I wasn't hungry, right? So there is that initial discomfort when you start a fast because you're so used to eating. And then now you're not eating, right? And so there was that initial discomfort, but then it does go away. You get used to it and you're fine. And in the process, I actually lost like 13 pounds. So when I went into the fast, I was 168 pounds. And when I came out, I was 100. So actually might have been, you guys tell me the math, 168, I was 154.8 pounds. So yeah, that's like roughly 14 pounds, 13 or 14 pounds.
Yeah.
And I felt amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh. So the intermittent fasting that Pierre is talking about, I'm like, I really want to incorporate that into my diet and my lifestyle more, where I'm working on discipline. I'm working on this mindset, this consciousness that she's talking about. Because what I'm realizing is really what you're working against is yourself. It's you against you. It's you against you, right? So these cravings, these things that you're doing, these foods that you're participating in, this way that you are, it's not with you and anybody else. It's with yourself. You're the person who is dealing with these things. It's what's going on in your mind. And once you can manage it, once you can control those feelings, control those emotions, once you get your mindset under wraps, then you see so much more success with whatever lifestyle change you want. And so for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd never done a 7-day fast like this that felt so good. And I'm like, you know what? This is something that I need to adapt into my lifestyle on an ongoing basis. So for me now, it's going to be fasting once a week where there's no food for about 30 to 36 hours. So one day where we don't eat at all, we just drink water, teas, things of that nature. And for me, as I'm getting older, it's really around working on discipline and really committing to myself, committing to my healing process, and also honoring myself. And so I'm wondering for you, when you talk about that consciousness and that mindset, what does it mean for you?
For the consciousness, every time anything would come by, it's just being conscious of the choice I have to make in terms of, because I have my own challenger right at home, my husband. He could eat everything and, and then, here, taste this, all with a taste. Just a little bit, just taste it, see really if you like it. I said, well, I'm not supposed to eat that. So I'm here at the desk, and he would bring the food all the way up here to me. I said, no, Merce, you're not helping me. Why would you bring that? I'm not supposed to be eating that. Look at the hour of the night. He come and cook, he cook fresh food, so he want me to eat. The people who love to cook love to have people eating.
Oh, yeah.
I said, no, I said,
I know
just
about
take it
that.
back. Let's cover that down. Whatever I can partake of tomorrow when I break my fast, I'll do that. But right now, no. So that's being conscious of that. That's a very important piece there. One of the things that you talk about with the fasting, I didn't realize, as a younger woman, I used to do a lot of fasting and praying. I used to do things like 3 days dry fast, 4 days sweet fast, 7 days, 4 and the dry together. So I did a 4 days sweet fast and then work into the dry fast where there's no food, water, nothing. And just like what you said, towards the end of the fast, you don't want to come out. You feel good. You don't miss the food. The first, maybe not so much the first day, but the second day is the time, is your tester. When that second day comes, that test comes to you. Oh, maybe no, I stood out. If you get past that,
Yeah.
the game is over.
Yeah.
The body of itself, and now you realize I hear all these different things from these medical people. The body is its own operator.
Yes.
Like a telephone going up and down with you.
Yes.
It talks to each other. And so after a while, it thinks. So what happened here now? When I started with the intermittent fasting, I started with about, they said 14 hours eating and, things like that. And 16, 8 and all of that. 8 means 8 hours to eat, and then you had 16 hours to fast. And I started with, I think, the 16-8, and then I went up to 24. But one day I was reflecting back on the process, and I said, you know what? I now realize what happened. What happened, and it happens naturally, even before I went into intermittent fasting. If I'm working and I don't eat right away at my scheduled time, it never bothered me to know, well, oh, you didn't eat, What I realize now is that my body, because of the custom being, I used to fast a lot. When the body doesn't see you eat within a certain time, it just goes into fast mood.
Yeah.
It just goes into that mood automatically. And that's why I never used to feel hungry. So while I started doing this intermittent fasting, it was the same way too. So I never, and I just keep it among that time. Sometimes I had it like 24. Sometimes I go a little either over or before. Like I would start from 11 to about sometimes to 5. And that's because of my teacher's schedule. Because sometimes if I don't get to eat enough before, then, I have to teach. I can't be eating while I'm talking with the students. So as soon as I'm done there, I have to do the last meal before, get too late. But that's how it happens. And so the intermittent fasting has worked very well. It really, really helps with that blood sugar. And of course, with the meal prep and all that stuff, because now you're eating your own food. It doesn't have all those additive stuff and all this other, because you put in just what you want in that food, which is very, very helpful. I
So
think
I'll say this.
they can't go without each other.
Yeah.
good food and that intermittent fasting, I think they're powerful with some guidance from your doctors, And so, like right now,
Yeah.
my doctor told me, she said, Pierre, whatever you're doing, your body likes it. It's good.
Yeah. No,
That's
that's good. And
yeah.
I'll say, like, with the intermittent fasting, for those of you who are listening, intermittent fasting is a way for you to really structure your eating. And so when we say intermittent, basically you have different fasting windows. So in a
Mhm.
24-hour day, for example, there might be a 18-6, 18 meaning that you're fasting for 18 hours and 6 hours you're feeding. You're allowing yourself to eat during that time. So for example, you might start eating at 12 noon and stop eating at 6. That's your feeding window. And then after 6 o'clock until the next day at 12 o'clock, that's your fasting time. And so this is actually quite helpful for people who are trying to address blood sugar issues. It's really good for helping to have the body balance its blood sugar levels because you're giving it enough time to convert all of that glucose into energy and you're not flooding the system with new sugar, right? And so you'll find that folks who are pre-diabetic or diabetic, fasting is actually a very, very powerful tool for folks to shift those outcomes and bring those blood sugar levels down and manage them. And so that's what she's referring to. And the longer you do this, right? So we're talking about doing this daily. But then now, if you actually incorporate a longer fasting window, so for instead of 18 hours, it might be 36 hours, a day and a half, or 48 hours, 2 days, and then you get back to eating, you'll see some dramatic changes in your blood sugar levels if you decide to do something like this. So this is really a great opportunity for you all to try something different with yourself. So if you're listening and you're really trying to lose weight, or you're trying to bring those blood sugar levels down, you're even trying to address blood pressure issues, fasting is the way to go. It's a really great way that you can do this. And you definitely want to do research. You definitely want to talk to your doctor and see if that's right for you, because fasting is not the best for everyone, depending on what their circumstances are in their medicine, their medical sort of situation.
Yeah.
So definitely something to check out, and a powerful, powerful tool to develop that discipline and, to make that awareness, that consciousness, so that you can make some lifestyle changes.
But you see, even with the fasting, they have different types of fasting. So you're
Yeah.
not only locked down to the one where you don't eat at all. Some you can drink liquids, of course, preferably water. And during the fasting time, you're drinking water. Um, but and that really helps with those people who have very chronic diseases that they can't shift as yet. They can't say, well, I'm not going to use this medication. They have to be on it. So if you want, you could drink water, then you could still intake that, and you might have to use something else with substance to mask the stomach so that the medicine don't, work on your stomach instead. So with guidance from a doctor, even those with chronic can do a little bit of something to help them.
Yeah,
They have to be
absolutely.
guided. They have to be guided by a physician or so, or a health coach or whatever. They'll have to be guided with that because they
Yeah.
may not know, but they have ways that they can do it. All it is just adjusting your body system to intake of food. That's it, really. You know, some of us can go extreme, like I do. I do the 24. I mean, I could take a good 3-day fast without eating anything. I don't do it now because of my activities and so on, but there's not nothing for me to do.
Yeah.
Nothing for me to do. It's easy for me to do those things. Hmm.
So, before we wrap up, I want to ask you a couple of questions. My first question is, so you've done quite a few programs with me. Which of those would you recommend to someone who is sort of on the fence, in regards to lifestyle change based on the different experiences that you've had with our programs? Which one do you feel was the most impactful for you and that you would recommend?
Well, for me, I'll tell you what. For me, I think consciousness, awareness, and consciousness came first before I even start anything much with you, right? And when I did
Yeah.
start with your stuff, I was already, on my thinking with those things. So, I mean, I did what I did first. I bought meals from you, and that awakened me with some things, There's a difference with meals, in terms of what it does for your body. So that was one. Then because of my, and it helped that during the time, you remember, I was very busy with academia. I ain't
Yeah.
got time to cook for myself, so I had to
Yeah.
get things from you. So for busy people, professionals especially, and trust me, there's a big thing out there for professionals. They don't eat well.
Yeah.
And you see, they get into those books like an addiction with us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like an addiction. And so, so they would need that. So I would think that was a good thing for the busy people. And I was at that time, and then of course I didn't know how to prepare some of those nice fancy dishes that we need with the health type of emphasis. So that was helpful for that, right? It did two things: one for my academia busy work, and getting the right things in the right place at the right time. So that was one. Then when after that I said, well, okay, but I have to learn to cook these things now. Then you introduced me to the culinary sessions, and so that was helpful with that. So with that, then during that time, I think just after, then I did the palate reset. So if for a person who just want to make a life change, I think the palate reset would be an initial thing. I mean, let's say they know to cook and they can cook or whatever, but they should have the palate reset. Then I would go with with the cooking, the chefing, to let them learn how to prepare their own meals for themselves. Some they may decide that's what they want. They don't want to be bothered with cooking, but that would be a good route to take, right? And then while they're doing that, they seeing their practitioner, whatever conditions they have, they can start addressing those things. And most of us, it's blood sugar, blood pressure,
Yeah.
most people. And if not, those are the basic conditions, then other things add on to it, or those two things causing the rest of things coming on.
Yeah.
So I think with these type of thing, and a lot of things they're talking about now, a lot of the diseases is coming from what? The gut.
Yeah.
So they got to fix the gut. So the gut is a
Yeah.
place there. This is where our food traversing, and so we have to be very careful of that. And so I think the food that you put in your system also create those clogging and all that stuff. So getting that education from guys like you, Chef B, about, because we had those classes as well. We had a lot of community work doing.
Yeah.
We talking about these different things, huh?
Yeah. It's nice.
All the different type of cleansing and all that stuff.
Yes.
So there's a lot, and Chef B can give us a lot of those introductory, you know, lessons. We call them sessions we had where we talk about different things. I mean, you look forward to these. Those were Wednesdays, right?
Yeah.
You look forward to those things. People used to come. It was nice. It was very educational, and people were gaining the momentum. And I mean, some people actually through that process actually changed their lifestyle
Yeah. It
because
was
of these different
wonderful.
things we're talking about. And then they realized, oh, well, I have this condition, that condition. So they were able to. Because as well, we were on one of those sessions that I learned about the therapy, about your feet and so on. And I was at a session with these two older women that were talking. I don't remember their names, but if I see them, I know them. And so they were talking about this, what they can do, and they use these oils, and they use peppermint oil with a combination of some other oils. And I'm saying, I'm listening to them, I write a little note down. I said, but I have some of these oils. I'm gonna try that, because what had happened just behind my feet, um, I think I start seeing a black spot. So I talked to my doctor. He said, "Oh, that might be coming from circulation." I said, "Circulation." And of course, we do research. I was at the desk sitting at the computer.
That's right.
I said, well,
Yeah.
maybe, but I usually exercise my legs. So, even if I'm sitting here, but why is that? But anyways, I listened to what they were saying at that one of those sessions. So those sessions were helpful. I'm telling you, we gain a lot of knowledge through those sessions. And the knowledge I got there, that's one of the things I picked up, I remember, and I go to work with it. I took that oil, that peppermint, copaiba, and frankincense, those 3 oils. And every night I pour it in my hand and I sit back. I take it, I put my feet up, and at the bottom of my feet, I rub that oil to the heel and to the front, because that's where they say your nerves, the ending of your
Yeah.
nerves, road
Go to
system,
the, yep, throughout the
in there
body.
and in your hands.
Yep.
So I have it in my hands, but I put it under my feet as well. And then the spot I rub it. That I have a picture of it. Did I show it to you?
You never showed me that picture.
My gosh.
So you actually have a before and after photograph?
Yes. You can see it now. Oh
Wow.
my gosh. It's like night to day. My husband told me, you see, it was like a hand was holding your feet at the back there. Yes,
Wow.
it was so dark. Yes.
And then so by doing those
By
different
just
things
doing that.
every
By
day.
just doing
See,
that.
that's what
And
I'm
of
talking
course,
about.
and of course, I might be able to give some credit to also my blood sugar, that
Ah,
as well. So it was during the same time. So
yeah,
maybe a combination.
it's a combo.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's
Yes.
it, right? It's not just one thing. So the
Not
other
just
thing of
one
this
thing.
is, y'all, and I always say this, it's not just one thing that you have to change. Changing everything changes everything, right?
Yeah.
Changing everything
I'm
changes
so proud of that.
everything. I know you're proud of that because we
Oh
talked
my
about
gosh.
that. That's
Oh my
amazing.
gosh. I listen when I hear about things, and I say, I know peppermint has a heating
Yeah.
thing, and so on. I rub that thing, girl. And if you see my feet now, you can't even, if I show you them, if I show you the picture, you can say, well, where is that? They won't even see the mark.
Wow. Yeah.
So
It's
whatever it
amazing.
was, the circulation, whatever it is, come over.
Wow.
Yeah, so I see a lot of good things happening from different things that I do from these sessions that we used to go to. It was very educational. I have all those things, I have them. I can't wait to retire now, to sit back
You
and
can
look at those
focus.
things. Of course, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't understand. These are teachable things. These are teachable moments. And um, I sure I can find a community of people that need those things.
Yeah.
They need to know about those things,
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I love
they
it.
need to know about those things. Yeah. And the thing is with those things, it's not just knowing it, it's when you have a community to work with.
Yeah.
Is that helps them with the longevity of
Yeah.
doing it.
No, I'm with you. I love that.
Some of us, we're motivated enough. Like me, I don't have to get a multitude to do things, but it's still nice when you could talk and exchange. Like how we exchange and talk here. This
Yeah.
is good for me, And I talk with you, I talk with my husband, I talk to my sister and things like that. But for some people, they don't have they need a bigger community. Some people, they need
Yeah.
that. But of course, our lifestyle don't afford us because we got to worry with the books. So we don't have to meet with too many people always. So whenever I get the opportunity to talk with people, I would talk. But yes, that's helpful. So that has a character goal, the
Yeah.
community.
No,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I love it.
Yeah.
So, as we kind of wrap up, the second question I wanted to ask is if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the listeners about their wellness and their awareness and consciousness into wellness. What would be something that you'd like to leave the listeners with? Any
Okay.
thoughts?
So we may have listeners who are very young people. And if you don't mind, a lot of young people are getting very conscious. It may not seem that way, but it is. When I was in Toronto, many, many when I was, doing some changes, I see many young people. They were going vegetarian. That was a kind of style. Everybody was heading into vegetarian. And I was shocked to see the amount of young people that was doing that. When you go into those vegetarian stores, there wasn't old people. There were a lot of young people in there. So regardless of age or so on, I think for each of us, we need to take a stock of what's happening in our lives in terms of our health. And I mean, a lot of people know what ailments they have already. So if you know that, it would be good to get with people like Chef Bee. She has a platform for the palate reset. She has a platform for the cooking if you need that. If you need meals, she has that. And there are other things I'm sure she can share with you, but her, like a person like her, you can get with her, or she can point you to other people similar. But get to understand what is going on in your body and what you can do, because we have a lot of power. I was listening to this other guy, and he said, all the power is within us. We always, every time people just look outward, outward, but you have to look inward, inward. You know, we have a lot of power in our body, and it's just some changes we have to make, and it will come together. But it's to make
Yes.
that leap is the thing.
Yes.
So you can start small by having conversations with like-minded people. In terms, seek for the people who can give you some thought about wellness. You know,
Yeah.
don't go talk with somebody. I don't know, but let's go to this barbecue. We go eat some food. All this stuff, you know.
Listen, I ain't going to the barbecue. Don't ask me to go to the barbecue with you, because I ain't going. I don't eat
Now I don't even
barbecue.
go. I don't even like to go to some. I mean, I go to special events that people may invite me to, but whenever when I go to those things, I particularly go prepared to leave around the eating time. There's no need to be there. I
You
don't want to
look, they
just
people usually wait and come around the eating time, and you're
exactly no.
leaving
I'm
around
leaving
the
at that
eating
time.
time. I
And
love
sometimes I'm
that.
not even think to go because it's useless to me. What I'm going there for, just to walk in and then walk back. No.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just for community. You go because you
Yeah.
want to meet
No,
with
that's
people and
good.
talk with them and saying, have a good time, and then you could leave. I mean, not that I have to leave because of the food. I mean, it doesn't faze me. Whatever I decide not to eat, you can be eating a million of it in front of me. It doesn't matter to me because I decided that I'm not eating it, right?
Yeah.
But it's then after you start intermingling with people, that thing, then the tendency they want you to go into other things, you know.
Yeah.
Then it's a drink here, and then all that sweet drink. Oh, you don't drink it? Okay, we have some juice here, and you keep telling them no, 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 no. You come like a a sore thumb in the party.
Yeah.
But it's
No,
nothing
that's
you're
true.
partaking with, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm happy with myself and what I'm doing. I continue to do, and I mean, this is my life. I control this, and this is gonna go how
That's
I want
right.
it.
That's right. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much. Is there a way that people could connect with you for any academic sort of questions or any of those things related to your work and what you do in the academy? How can someone connect with you?
Well, you have my email address. You can share that with them.
Okay, I can do
My
that.
email address, yeah.
Yes. All right.
Because as I transition into retirement, there are things I'm going to be doing. So most likely, I love academia, and particularly to help others like myself um, to fare well in this adventure. It's a thing that it's old over our heads, and not too many of us understand what's going on with it. And we go into it and we get lost in a stream. And
Yeah.
if you can't find your way out, it's hard. So all my students that I speak with, and they're doctoral students, and I talk to them. So I encourage them to do likewise. I said, whatever knowledge you gain in how you exist and survive in this academia, share with other young ones because they don't know.
Yeah.
And it's a vicious cycle. So you have to let them be aware. And so if they're aware, more aware, they prepare themselves better than what we
Yes.
did. Mhm.
I
So
love
they
that.
prepare themselves better. I mean, we weren't as prepared, and so we struggled, and but we find our way. We find a way because you had the passion for it, so you kind of you know find your way around. And so, but it's not easy, and so we need to let them know because others don't make it easy for you. That's the
Oh
point.
yeah, we
Don't
know
look
about
forward
that.
nobody making it easy for you. They're not doing that. And so we
Yes.
need to educate them a little bit more. And I love the thing, just like coaching, mentoring, things like that. So I look forward for things like that coming after my retirement.
Yes, and we're looking forward to that next phase of your life. You're all sort of strong.
Yeah.
You're really getting your health and wellness together so that you can really thrive in that new aspect of what you're about to embark upon. So
Yeah.
we're so proud of you. and all that you've accomplished in making these sort of health and wellness shifts. All right. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Thank you so much for being who you are in the community. And I'm really, really proud of you for listening, because sometimes what you also find is that the elders don't always listen and do the lifestyle changes that they need to do for the longevity. And so I'm so grateful that you've listened and you've
No,
really
it's very,
adopted those things, you know?
it's very silly, you know. Years ago, elders wouldn't want to listen to younger people. Say, well, what they know? They don't know anything. You know, elders had that type of attitude. It's not a good thing. The babes, even from the little babies, you can learn something. If you, as an adult, you watch those babies, look at how they strive, how they get independent of themselves. And so you, as a grandparents should be talking about this thing, because they should be observing those who babysit their grandchildren. You see the changes of children. How, as that child, don't know anything, what the movements they make on their own, you know? And that just goes to show. And then you can learn from them. Because when you look, when you see them now, you see yourself as a baby, what you used to do. And you can learn from that. Look at that to their transformation now. Think about those leaps and bounds. The challenges as a child go through, and look at challenges that you could go through as an adult. So there's a lot of teaching within every age phase.
Yeah.
And so we can't, as elders, say, well, oh, we know it all. There's something, you talk something, as I listening to you saying something and putting pieces together. So, wow. And then I could tell you, you know, while you were talking, this is what I was thinking about.
Yeah. So, I mean, I
So we
think,
learn from each other.
I love that. And I think we'll just leave it there. We definitely learn from each other and we grow from each other. And, you know, the elders need to listen to the young people, and the young people definitely, most definitely need to learn and listen to the elders. And I think that's a great place for us to leave it.
Yes.
So,
Until next time.
till the next time. All right, y'all. So I could talk to this lady for hours, but we're not going to do that. I'll definitely invite her on the podcast again so we can have another dialogue with her. Thank you all for tuning in today. I'm Chef Bee, and you guys can check out my services at Chef Bee. That's with 3 E's: be empowered, energized, and engaged. If you're interested in the palate reset or the meal prep program that we've been talking about, or even the Transform and Thrive culinary program, you can find all of those offerings on the chefbee.com site. And so, you know, we love you guys out there. We want you to take care of yourself out there. And really just that awareness piece is so critical. And so we pray that you all, that you took some really good lessons from this particular podcast, and that with you thinking about the things that you need to change in your life, that there will be a consciousness and a mindset shift that you will undertake so that you can be better. And so we're going to leave it there. You guys have an amazing, amazing day. And thank you so much for listening. All right, y'all, say bye.
Bye.